All right, it says we're preparing, but it also says we're streaming live. Live chat, this is me attempting to do Zoom again, so just let me know if this is working or not. And today we hit 5,500. I'm sure all of you guys saw that. That is $500 below the phase 2 line. So without further ado, I am going to turn it straight over to Ty. And ooh, the streaming, okay, great. All right, Ty, before I screw anything else up, all you.
All of a sudden I'm off. I clicked the wrong button. Can you hear me?
Yep.
You can hear me. So where would this be?
I hear you and I see you.
Okay,
guys, thanks
there we go. Okay, sorry everybody. Everybody's changing everything. YouTube is changing stuff. Anyway, thank you all for hopping on here. Big day, important day, but I want to make some comments. First of all, this is not the end of anything. This is the beginning of Act 2. We've just had an intermission that lasted about 4 months, where prices for Bitcoin and most of the alts went sideways. And then we have all come back from the intermission, and today is the beginning of Act 2. And Act 2, no one knows how it's going to come out. I've got some technical systems that I use. Tone has some technical systems. What we know is that Act 1 was a tragedy. It was bad for everybody, bad for everyone in the crypto space, everyone that owned Bitcoin, everyone that tried to go long on all the bounces. It's been tragic, and a lot of people have lost a lot of money. The tragedy of the last 10 months has been, it was not necessary. That's what's called a tragic flaw in literature, that you had tools at your disposal to employ to keep it from being a tragedy. And most people chose not to use those tools. And I understand why. Believe me, I understand it. But that's all in the past as of today. Coming back from this 4-month intermission where the debate has been raging, will it or will it not fall further, that has just been answered. And we're not going to go into a lot of technical stuff today, but I am going to bring up a Bitcoin chart, and I'm going to go through my normal routine, making comments about what I see. But let's be very clear. The phase 2 line of Hyperwave has been broken. We've actually dropped down to 5,430 approximately on Bitstamp, but all the others are catching up very quickly, and all the others have broken also. Now, there are a lot of questions. What does that mean? And what it means very simply is that this is the first real test of a phase 2 line. Phase lines do not like to break. They are amazingly resilient. And you know, if you've listened to any of our Hyperwave vlogs, that we had a phase 3 line, and that ended up breaking or being tested more than 10 times. I count 11, but who's counting? And a couple of those breaks were very large, hundreds and hundreds of points, particularly the first one and the second one. But in both cases, the phase line proved to be resilient, and by the following Sunday's close, which is the only thing I look at for Hyperwave, is the weekly closing price. And someone correctly pointed out, I believe, that it's not 8 o'clock anymore, it's 7 o'clock because of the time change. But we've got 3 or 4 days to figure out our calendars. But the point is that on Sunday night, if price is below that line, the phase 2 line, which is coming in a little over 6,000, and on Sunday it's going to shift over to 6,080, and then it'll go up to 6160, up $80 per week from here on out, just as it has since last March of 2017. We are now below it, and the question everybody's asking is, where are we going from here? And the answer is nobody knows. And I won't even venture a guess, but I'm going to give you my best analysis, but take it for what it's worth. And the reason I'm saying that, and I call this looking into or falling into the void, is all this break is taking place the day before we have the immovable object and the irresistible force coming together, and the threats are growing all day long. There's tweets back and forth. It's all out war. I would suggest to everyone that maybe this break is taking place because of that fundamental question that will be resolved tomorrow. But don't be mistaken. Hyperwave made this prediction back in December of last year, and there has never been a change to the prediction. And it does not matter what the fundamentals are. It was baked in the cake 10 months ago. What is not baked in the cake is, do we stop at 6,000 and phase 2 holds, or do we go to 1,000? All other questions to me don't really matter. So I think it's more coincidence than anything else that this particular activity having to do with Craig Wright and Roger Ver and their teams happened to be occurring at a point technically which was the breaking of Tone's triangle at the same moment that we are breaking my phase 2 line. Those two things are unrelated. They're happening at the same time, but they're unrelated, and it's only a second piece of evidence that this is for real. Now we've got a third thing that is going on, which is this war, and it's affecting everything. Craig Wright is saying he will sell all the Bitcoin necessary, even if it drives it down to 1,000. My take is, if he wasn't doing that and saying that, it wouldn't matter. We are still going to 1,000. People will point to this fundamental argument that's taking place within the ecosystem and say, well, that's why we're dropping to 1,000. Okay, if that's the way you want to read it, you can read it that way. I do not. If that was not occurring, we would still be in exactly the same place. And if we weren't breaking down today, we would be breaking down next week or the week after, because we're coming to the apex of that particular triangle. And we were coming closer and closer to the hyperwave phase 2 line. Okay, so that's the general overview of what I'm seeing. Now, I've been saying for a long time that when the phase 2 line does break, that the most probable thing we will see is a drop down to the 5,000 level. And that level is not a number, it's a range, just the way 5,800 to 6,200 was a range. That was a range of support that has lasted for a number of months and had at least 6 different tests of it. The range I'm talking about now runs from about 4,800 to about 5,100, which I believe will be able to stop the fall that we're now looking at. A number of my consulting clients have put buy orders in at various levels ranging from 5,100 down to 4,400 approximately. And I walked them through that many, many months ago. If anybody listening has those buy points in, my suggestion at this time is to take them off. And the reason I'm saying that is one of 2 things is about to happen in my mind. Unfortunately, it's another one of these binary things. We could very easily keep falling and trying to guess where a bounce might come from, if any, which I'm not assuring anybody of. I'm just saying that phase lines are very, very resilient. And we could bounce right from here today, right now, 5,400, 5,500 on Bitstamp. We could get a bounce that will take us back up over the phase line from this point. I give a very small probability to that, but it's possible. This end is not possible, but not likely. The most likely outcome I see at this point, meaning for the next 48 hours, is a drop down to 5,000 and maybe to 4,800, the Fibonacci line, depending on how you're drawing those lines. You could take it down a little bit lower, depending on your starting point, but let's just call it 4,800, which will also take us through Tone's 49.75 that he's been talking about before we ever started coming down, while we were still on our way up back in November and December. I think those 3 lines, those 3 points, 5,000 is a round number, 49.75 is Tone's number, and 4,800 are probably going to be strong enough to hold this drop. But that statement is made having no idea what's going to happen tomorrow because of the war. That's just pure technical analysis. So we've got a wild card, a joker, that's been thrown into the deck. And that joker is going to be played tomorrow. And I do not know what to think. I don't know if that means Bitcoin's going up to 8,000 or it's going to drop to 3,000. I really don't, and nobody else does. Because of that, I would not be trying to catch a knife here at the 5,000 level. Now, everybody, I'm not giving advice. I'm telling you what I would do and how I'm thinking through what I'm seeing. Everybody, depending on who you are and what your situation is, have got to make up your own minds. Those of you who I've talked to personally before, I will try to get this message to you directly. And my message is, I would be canceling buy orders in that $4,800 to $5,100 range until we have more information. Okay, I've said something else repeatedly over the last 10 months, which is phase 7 is the most maniacal of all the phases. Not because it's hard to read if you understand Hyperwave, but the timing of it, when and where it gets to where it's going to go, is unbelievably frustrating. None of the other phases are like that. They're very clear cut. When something happens, you know what's going to happen. And you even have a pretty good idea of the timing. But we've just gone sideways for 4 months into phase 7. And I know people within the ecosystem or people following Leah and I were frustrated by that. And those that didn't agree with it were mean-spirited about it because I had targets lower and we weren't hitting those targets. But I tried to get everyone to understand that that's the way phase 7 works. Now, we might not get down to my target of 1,000, even if we don't, how do I put this? If the phase 2 by Sunday is not retaken and prices are where they are now or at 5,000 or 4,500 or 4,000, wherever they're going to be, that does not mean we're on our way to 1,000 in the next week. We might not get there for another year. I'm sorry to say that, but Hyperwave does not predict the timing of the phase 7. It only tells you where it's going to go. So far, it's gone in each of the 7 phases, the first 6 of them, precisely where it should go, and in the timing that is reasonable relative to Hyperwave theory. Phase 7 doesn't have that constraint. It can wander around all it wants to. But what it cannot do is it cannot start another hyperwave that will take out the old highs if the phase 2 is broken and holds for a week on a closing basis. That does mean that we could go back above 6,000. Okay, let me lay it out very carefully for everybody. 2 assumptions. Hey, Tone.
We got Tone.
Great. Sorry, it's in the middle of the night.
No. It's already morning. Normally, it was just a funny thing. Like, I just woke up. I usually wake up around 7 a.m. and I usually start my workday. I woke up. I looked at my phone. I saw we were down like $700 in the 4 hours I was sleeping, and I tweeted out that picture saying, normally I start my workday, but for the last 6 months, my workday has been preparing you for this day. I'm going back to sleep.
That's
but then
great.
Leah got me to join.
Oh, I'm glad she did. I really want to hear what you have to say. I'm just making some conclusions about the breaking of the hyperwave phase 2.
Yeah, no, Tyler, I have nothing to say. Everything to say has been said for the last 6 months. There's nothing to say right now. I mean, we were getting you ready for this day. Like, what do you like?
That's
It's like
exactly
you've been
right.
getting somebody ready for the. You're getting somebody ready because the volcano is about to explode next to them. You've been warning them for 6 months. The day the volcano explodes, you have nothing more to say.
Well, unfortunately, I've got a little more to say because of my silly hyperwave. And by breaking this phase 2, we've only got until Sunday to regain it. And we're either going to do it by Sunday night or we are not. If we do not, if we do not regain it, here is what you can expect. We are going down to 1,000. But we don't know how long it's going to take it to get there. If we have broken the phase 2 and we don't retake it by Sunday, that does not mean we can't have a tremendous rally back above 6,000, back above 7,000, back above 8,000, and it changes nothing. We are still going down to 1,000. We cannot and will not start another hyperwave until we get to 1,000 if the phase 2 isn't retaken by Sunday. There has never been a hyperwave for 100 years in over 350 cases that after the phase 3 and the phase 2 broke ever started another hyperwave that took out the old highs. This would be the only time in 350 cases. And for a lot of other reasons, I believe that is not in the cards, so don't hope for it. All right, what I believe is, here's my best case scenario of what will happen if phase 2 is not retaken by Sunday, which by Sunday is going to be back at 6,000, almost 6,100, a minute after 7 o'clock. Okay, here's my best case. We will drop down below tones 49.75. We will drop down below the Fibonacci line, maybe down to something like 4,400 in a capitulation that will then find support off that Fibonacci line and tones 49.75 to 5,000 line, and we'll get a fairly significant bounce. But if it's after Sunday, it won't matter to me, no matter how high it goes. I don't think it will be able to retake 6,000, but if it does not change anything. The only thing that matters in hyperwave theory is the weekly close below that line. So then if I'm right about that, we go down to 4,500. We mess around for a while as everybody sorts out what the heck just happened and how did 1,500 altcoins just disappear, which is about what's going to happen. They're down between 12 and 20% today. Bitcoin's actually doing better on a percentage basis, as it should do. But there's going to be all kinds of noise. Get ready for it. In the media, on Wall Street, on CNBC, and they're going to miss the point. They're not going to understand the thing you are now hearing about why we were able to make these predictions. But don't only take half of the cookie. The other half of the cookie is the second act, which is just beginning today. If you haven't prepared for it up till today, you've got a lot of time, because in my opinion, the percentage drop we've seen from 19,666 to today is a smaller percentage than what we're about to see. We're about to see an 80 to 90% drop from these levels Now, you don't have to accept that, of course, but I'm just telling you that if we can't regain by Sunday that phase 2 line, you're going to hear me talking that language for the next month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, until we finally get to where we're going, and Bitcoin will be the last one left standing. I cannot predict what that price is going to be, only that I firmly now believe it's going to be below 1,000. And with that, I see if Tone has anything to say, and then I'm going to just pull up my silly Bitcoin wisdom and go through very quickly weekly other technical indicators to show the significance of the damage that has been done in the last 4 hours.
Well, Tone, before you start, I have a coffee mug that's for you and a shirt that's for Tyler. This one says that this mug contains the blood of my enemies. I'm pretty sure that you're happy about that one today. And Tyler's is the trend is your friend. So yes, guys, you nailed it. And so, Tone, what are your thoughts as a follow-up to Ty?
I mean, my first thought is like this happened, in the last 4 hours. So literally I sleep about 4 to 5 hours a night. And this was the 3.5 hours of which I was asleep. Now, I'm actually not as pessimistic as Tyler. I mean, I like the Hyperwave. Well, I'm not even sure I should. It is a theory because it's not a hypothesis. It's he has evidence to back it up. So I do like the Hyperwave theory quite a bit, but this is where I'm gonna sound like the tinfoil hat guys that were crushing me all over crypto Twitter the last 6 months. I'm not as pessimistic as Tyler. I'm not as certain we are gonna go to 1,000. I think Bitcoin is different, and I don't know where the price, like the price of mining is for Bitcoin, but I do think that it's significantly above 1,000. I don't think Bitcoin necessarily has to go all the way down to my 1,300 level. Like 1,350 is my higher end. Of course, it could go down below 1,000. Anything can happen, but the difference is I had above 50% confidence that we would fall and touch $5,000. I do not have above 50% confidence that we are going to fall and touch 1,350. I will redo my percentages once my 5,000 target is fully realized. There's no reason to redo them yet. My $5,000, my $4,975 target has not yet been realized. Once that target is fully realized, I'm gonna find that tweet that I sent in May where I gave like a 23% chance or something that we would only fall to 4,900. So that comes off the table. So that obviously increases the percentage in the odds of 1,300. But having said that, the odds of 1,300 for me are not above 50%, like they were to getting to 5,000. I think Bitcoin can turn around from the $2,000 to $3,000 area with fairly, like, I think it will be fairly reasonable to think that. It's even possible we can turn around from the $5,000 area, but unlikely. I do think we are headed towards, that $2,000 to $4,000 range. I know it's a big range, and I'll have more to say once this market stabilizes. There's nothing you can really do in a crashing market like this other than sit on a video and talk. Like if your trading account was not prepared for this, then you are contributing to the drop. It's basically it. Like if you weren't prepared for this day, and we've warned you, if you weren't prepared for this day, you are now contributing to the crash of Bitcoin because your portfolio was misaligned and you are now panicking and market selling. And this applies to, the guy with $100 and the guy with $100 million in a hedge fund portfolio for his clients, all the same. They are the same person at that point. Oh, there's Thor. And
licking the keyboard. Keep going.
So the only thing I can say is at this moment in time, the only place where I expect the price to bounce is $4,975. That's where I expect the price to find some support. Is that support going to take you back to 6,000 and back test the triangle? Or is that support only going to bounce you $100 as you start another leg down towards the triangle target of 3,000? I do not yet know. I can only reevaluate that after 4,975 is touched. But as far as am I above 50% confident that we're going to fall all the way into 1,300 or lower? I am not. I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic here, but my view for now is still bearish. I don't need to pick a target that low at this moment in time. I have plenty of time to do that.
Thanks, Stone. Tyler, are you going to pull up the charts? And a lot of people are asking. Yeah, okay, Thor. I'll ask you specific questions in a second when you show us where the phase lines are. But just to note, what happens if phase line 2 is not broken? It's presently not broken on Bitfinex. I don't know if this is true, but that's what someone is saying, which is, then I lost my full screen. Okay, show us the phase lines.
Okay, well, the phase line on Bitstamp comes in at 6,000, and I don't have it drawn here because I don't care anymore. I will care as we get close to Sunday. Just know that we have gotten down on the low. Let's see what the low is on Bitstamp is 53.24, 5324. And now we've bounced and we're at 5355. I guarantee you that it will be broken on all the exchanges. And if not, then that's fine too. We will evaluate it on the close today, and we'll let everybody know as we go into Thursday and Friday exactly where we see it on all of the various exchanges. I've got my research group, the unbelievable Hyperwave research group has got the numbers for every one of the exchanges, and we will tweet those out so everybody can see them. But we are $600 below it on Bitstamp right now. Okay, what I'm going to do very, very quickly is just pretend we are looking at a regular chart, and I'm going to bring up one by one all of the points we keep talking about on a weekly basis. There's your stop and reverse points, which had not been moving down, and they're about to start dropping rapidly. You can already see it in the current circle, but starting very quickly, those are going to start coming down, and it'll be very difficult for price to get back above those. Very negative. Let's take a look at the Bollinger Bands. My interpretation for the last 4 months has been this is very bearish because we can't get back above the midline. Take a look at what's going on today. We have dropped all the way down below the lower line, and I'll just make this bigger so everybody can see it. With the low today at 53.24, this weekly is now below that line, but take a look at what the line is starting to do. It is beginning to drop rapidly, and the upper line is beginning to accelerate up. So we've been in a very narrow Bollinger range for the last 2 months. And that range is about to expand greatly, which means the price on a weekly closing basis is going to be chasing the lower band lower, unless it goes significantly lower and we're able to close at or above it, which could be a buy signal. And that might be wherever this bounce, which will come, is going to come from. It's just a matter of when is it going to occur. Very negative. Let's take a look at the moving averages, and I'm going to take off the price so we don't have to worry about things that don't matter. And price does not matter when you get down to consensio. The only thing that matters are the lines. You're in a full bear market, but look at the acceleration now of the short term down, which will begin accelerating as Tone showed last night. The long term over the next 3 weeks is going to be beginning to drop very, very sharply. You need the price to go first, then that will turn the short term down, and then that'll turn the intermediate, which is not that far away. The intermediate's coming in right around 6,200, but it'll start dropping rapidly. So rapidly that by next week, at the close of next week, it will be below the Hyperwave phase 2 line, the intermediate will, and that will make it very difficult as we go into the weekend. Okay, I'm going to put the price back on to look at the other things. There's the price. And let's now go to the momentum indicators, starting with the RSI. Now, this is very interesting to me because I said that I believed we had to get back below 30. And I think we're going to see 20 to 25 before the RSI bottoms out. Right now it's sitting at 39, which is the lowest it's been. Let's see, I believe it's all year. Yes, this is the lowest the RSI has been, but it's nowhere near being oversold. Got a long ways to go. That is very negative. Let's take a look at the MACDs. The MACDs for the first time in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, 2 months, has gone negative on the histograms already with just 4 hours of action. And we are about to begin dropping very rapidly. That histogram is going to grow very quickly. So we're 5 for 5. We have broken down out of the triangle. That's 6 for 6. We've broken the phase line, phase 2 line. That's 7 for 7. Please return to your seats. Fasten your seatbelts. We are in the middle of a hurricane. And with that, I will stop screen share.
Hey, Tyler, really quickly, people are asking for the phase 2 lines. I actually have it drawn. I'm going to pull up my screen share really quickly, and can you make a note about it?
Perfect. And is that on Bitstamp or Bitfinex?
It's actually TradingView.
Yeah, but which exchange, do you know? It's Bitstamp.
Bitstamp, here you go. Are you able to see it? Sorry, it's quite small. There we go. Fuda.
Yeah, there it is. That's it, folks. That's what it looks like. Now, yeah, there's really nothing to say except there's only one other phase line, and that's down here. And because of that, and because of the record of all the past hyperwaves, if you can't turn into a funky hyperwave, which we still might, Here's the good news. We've got until Sunday to get back above it. And if we can, that is simply the first test of the phase line. Remember, the phase 3 line had 11 tests before it broke down, but it did break down. And then that called for a drop to the phase 2 line, which just happened today. It's taken us 5 months between the phase 3 line and the phase 2 line, but Hyperwave is doing exactly what the theory says. We've gone from 3 down to 2. Now we've got one chance for a funky hyperwave, but we must stay above phase 2 on a weekly closing basis. Now, let's take the real positive possibility that we do that. We either bounce right here today, we bounce tomorrow, we bounce Friday, we bounce Saturday, we bounce before Sunday's close and get back above the phase 2 line. What does that mean? It could mean that that is the end of the down. That's the end of the phase 7. We are now in phase 2, beginning a new set of analysis that will mean a new phase 3, a new phase 4, and then the same thing again, a 5, 6, and a 7. What's the probability of that? Very, very small. Because even if we retake it by Sunday, that's only the first test. I'll just throw out a number because I don't know, but I believe we could see 3 or 4 tests of the phase 2 line before it breaks down. And that's a 1 in 5 probability that it will not break down. That none of those probabilities that I've been throwing around for the last year have changed. They never will change because that's all historical data. But that doesn't mean it won't happen, meaning that the phase 2 will be regained and we will close above it and we might not have to retest again. We just keep on going up from there. Or more probably, if we regain it, we will retest it over the next month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. It took 3.5 months to break through the phase 3 line. Let's just say it takes us to the end of the year and into early next year, and then it breaks again and breaks and closes below it, then we're back in the soup. So I just want to give everybody all perspectives from Hyperwave's point of view of where we're sitting as of this moment.
Thanks, Tyler. We had a Sir Tyler and a King Tone. So Tone, come on in.
Sure. Like again, I don't know what you guys want me to say. Like I've been saying that once the triangle breaks, it's gonna go to 4,975 quickly. And this is even quicker than I thought we would get to 49.75. It's pretty much just straight down. There's nothing else to say. We are gonna hit 4,975. The triangle target is all the way at 3,000. We're probably gonna hit that as well, but I wanna see what happens at 4,975. And this is why you're supposed to short the yearly low and not buy it. Like this is just so trading, like I want to say it's trading 101, but it's not even trading 101. It's more amateurish than that. The trade here was obvious.
Tone, let me just ask you something about the target at 3,000. What sort of percentage would you put on once a triangle breaks that it achieves its target?
Once it breaks, achieving a target is approximately 60%.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Well, that's all I've got, folks. I am not happy. I am glad to see that technical analysis on a real-time basis is being viewed by so many people, particularly in the hands of people with experience in very particular types of analysis that a lot of people don't use. And I would put Tone in that category because of the way he ranks his technical indicators. Almost everybody listening to Tone will think that his number one indicator is the sequential system, and he's been very clear it is not. It's number 3. And number 2 is what we have just witnessed with the breakdown of that triangle. And number 1 is his amazing work with candles, either individually or in conjunction with other candles and what story they're telling. So when you put all of that together, we have just had Tone 75,000 people, and Leah and we've got maybe 20,000 between us, having witnessed, and I think everybody would agree with this, a tremendous assault on Tone's expertise and what I believe to be my expertise, but more importantly, on the fact that we got to a position where it became very difficult because of the trading range between 5,800 and 6,200 to keep saying the same things over and over and over again without varying, without saying there's no question here. We have to follow the systems that we know and we've used, and we understand why people that haven't used them so extensively for so long would come to different conclusions. That's nobody's fault. And I don't look at people that are critical as anything other than that. But I think this has been a wonderful proving ground in one of the most difficult asset classes I've ever looked at, of applying traditional thinking, traditional techniques, and coming to the correct conclusions.
Thanks, Ty. And I know you have to run to meet Max and Stacy. Actually, you're going on the Kaiser report. Before, I guess I'll turn these questions over to Tone, because I know you have to run. One thing people are talking about and have been talking about all day is the craziness with GBTC. So I know you have to run, and then Tone, maybe you could pull up a chart of GBTC. But Tyler, do you want to just make a quick comment of what's going on there?
Well, I'll just make a couple of comments. One is, and this was just personal opinion, I had no evidence of this other than my own experience, that GBTC had consistently been leading the price of Bitcoin, both on the upside and the downside, since I started studying it last summer, a year ago in 2017. And I thought that was remarkable, and I still think it is. Now, I've been saying for the last 3 or 4 weeks, GBTC keeps moving to lower lows for the year, and Bitcoin was not. And to me, that was an indication that Bitcoin was about to break. Now, recently, we've had some very strange things happening with GBTC, just in terms of dropping down to a 0 premium, which I interpreted in a number of different ways, but then rallying, and Tone caught that trade perfectly from basically 0 up to 17, 18. I think intraday it got up to a 20% premium, and then the premium began to fade again. And this time it accurately was saying that whoever it is that is putting the big money into and taking it out of GBTC is acting as a leading indicator to me for the price of Bitcoin. At this point, it doesn't matter. It will matter as we get down to, if there's no ETFs that come along before we get down to critical levels such as 3,000 or below, things will begin happening then, and maybe GBTC will be a help once again. Yeah, you also see these very bizarre candles. My son pointed that out to me.
No, Tyler, they're data errors because I took a look at GBTC. I went to bed at like 2 or 3 a.m. Sydney time, and the market was already open. The stock market was already open. It was like 10, 11 a.m. And there were these spikes. I'm looking at the timestamps on these spikes, and they happened during normal trading hours, and my broker doesn't have these spikes. So this is probably a data error.
Well,
look, there's no volume. There's no volume at these spikes either. So this is just a data glitch.
It actually showed up on a number of charts. My son called me up because he was going to try to buy it before this market breakdown. And he called me up and he said, what is going on? GBTC is up to $10. And he was, and it does, that doesn't show up here.
Was he looking at it at his broker, or was he looking at it through a data service provider or a chart provider like?
I'm not sure. I told him I was sure it was a glitch.
Right.
And
my broker did not have these spikes.
Well, those spikes have been showing up on a bunch of different things, not just in the crypto world. And I don't know what's going on, but I've had a bunch of clients talking about individual stocks that are showing these enormous spikes in both volume and price on some indexes and on a number of stocks. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I think it was on Schwab is actually what Tyler the Third is saying.
Oh, really? Amazing.
I mean, good luck trying to buy it. I think it will be hard. I don't think there's liquidity there, right? Like someone has to be dumb enough to sell you GBTC at 3 cents when it's worth $7. I mean, it can happen in pre-market. It can happen during market close because it's a bit of a wild, wild west there. But during normal trading hours, that's not going to happen normally. And they can always reverse that trade because they're exchanges. They're all centralized, right? If the exchange messed up, they will, take it back from your account. So I wouldn't there's time to take arbitrage. There's time to be opportunistic. But when you just get lucky because the exchange screwed up, the exchange will just reverse it. I mean, we're dealing with a regulated space. Hey, before you go, Tyler, I just want to close out. Just a quick comment. I'm going to stop screen share because it's not necessary at this point. Just a quick comment. Look, I understand how people, can criticize me because I do talk and don't really trade. And even when I was a full-time trader, I was a full-time trader for a very limited amount of time because I always find, something else to occupy myself because I find trading to be a little boring. But I don't understand how people are criticizing you. You've managed billions of dollars of institutional money over a 35-year career and insanely successfully. So, and it's not like you were actually trading the entire time. It's not like you're Mike Novogratz or Tim Draper, whose job is to acquire capital and not actually trade. You actually traded. Your job wasn't really to acquire capital. You had other people acquiring the capital and you were the just trader. So it's insane how people are able to criticize your trading expertise. I find that amazing. I can criticize myself all day, but I can't criticize you on anything, and I'm just trying to learn myself here.
Tyler, you're on mute. That was really nice, Tone. Tyler's still on mute.
Tone, I really appreciate that, especially coming from someone that knows as much about this space as you do. And Leah and I will be doing a lot of tweets and a lot of vlogs between now and Sunday. I've got to be on the road again, heading back to Chattanooga. I am in Chapel Hill, North Carolina right now. But I will be watching because it's actually a very, very exciting time, and it's difficult for people to understand how important these next several days are going to be to the entire crypto space. And I do not know the outcome, and I want to make that clear. And as we get any sort of evidence in terms of price action, we will be passing that on as quickly as we can. So thank you all very much.
And Ty, before you leave, and Tone, I'm gonna let you have last thoughts. One more statement that at Unconfiscatable, the importance of the Hyperwave workshop that we're gonna be doing as homage to you, Tone.
Yeah, that's a great point, Leah. I've been saying I really am looking forward, because this will be the first time where we will present in great detail Hyperwave and how it actually works and what the rules really are. And we'll have probably close to 100 examples going back a century, including a lot of Hyperwaves that are developing right now in other things other than crypto. So we're going to have a lot of fun. We've got a number of clients that are coming or about to sign up. One called earlier today. He's a little upset. He was slow on the trigger and the prices are going up, but he's going to do everything he can to be there. So anybody that wants to...
Well, the price, Tyler, the price just went down. I'm charging... denominated in Bitcoin.
That's true. That's a good point. I think we're going to switch to fiat, Tone.
I'll see. Well, I'll see how long. I mean, it sucks, right? Because I had a trade on hedging ticket sales, and I was short, and I was actually already been doubled down. I just didn't tell the trolls because I didn't want to deal with it. So that trade was actually twice as big. I had to liquidate it at a loss, and I was gonna double down the double down. I was gonna go in 4x my original position probably yesterday if I had the ability to actually trade it. So it's and I didn't have time to create another account. All I had to do was just kind of find a dummy email and create another account, right? Or use another anonymous exchange. Like, I have no interest in trading on traditional exchanges. As long as anonymous exchanges exist, I'm going to use them. That's why they exist. But yeah, so yeah, the price is going down. It's still priced in Bitcoin, and once the next tier is sold, 50 tickets, it'll go up again in Bitcoin. So if the price keeps going down, the price in fiat is not actually changing.
That's great. Well, everybody sign up. It's going to be the event of the year. The speakers are unbelievable. And Tone's got some more surprises he hasn't told us about yet, but we'll find out soon enough. Thank you all.
Bye, Ty. Thanks. Have fun with Max and Stacy.
Okay.
Tone.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Tone.
We're going live tonight, Tyler. After you, when you wake up, we'll be. I'm going live for the fork of BCH, and we're going to talk a lot about the Bitcoin price. So probably around 9, 10, 11, like 10, 11 a.m. When you guys wake up, I'm going live for like 3 to 4 hours, as long as I can stay up. Really, we'll be live.
Fabulous.
Are you still pushing me on this, Tone?
Because it'll be like 1 in the morning. Yeah. I'll be live on my YouTube channel. I can go live again. They unbanned me.
Oh, terrific.
Oh boy. Hey, Tyler, have a great time.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Wow, we lost Ty. All right, Tone, last thoughts to everybody?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm going to be pretty busy today, besides the fact that I have like 8,000 notifications in my phone. And like maybe some of them are important. I'm sure the The rest are just people congratulating me. I'm not sure why I'm being congratulated. I just became a lot poorer from every angle, from my holding of Bitcoin, liquidation of my trades, like I said, losing a bunch of revenue. And I'll be fine about me. But yeah, I have some interviews today. I actually gotta travel to an interview, and I have to do I mean, these interviews get recorded, they're not live. So I planned a bunch of interviews for today, so I will not be around until my evening time, your morning. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, but we are gonna go live. We're gonna go live tonight. Well, my night, your morning. So tomorrow morning, expect like a 3-hour live stream during the scheduled upgrade of Bcash and BCH. I'll send that link out to everyone in the BCH camp. We'll see if anybody wants to join. I'll send it out to all our usual suspects. Unfortunately, Jimmy can't join because he's teaching a workshop, bad timing. But Rodolfo and Giacomo should be able to join. And Tyler, whoever else, I'll shoot off to Willy Woon Van Zen. I don't know if they can join or not. We'll try to get as much people on. We'll do another one of these epic, 9 people on the screen, Brady Bunch style live streams. We'll see what happens. Leah will be with us.
I will be with you. All right. Go have fun. Definitely go to the beach, please. Everybody, and thanks for waking up. I know I woke you up for this one. So thanks for doing it. Enjoy.
All right,
the
bye, guys.
Cheers. Everybody have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Bye, Tone.
Bye.
I just got to figure out how to. Got it. I got it.